hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.
Hi guys, just one little factor here before we start this video here today. If for any reason my YouTube channel gets taken down, which could happen because we're challenging the deep state and we're challenging the powers behind the scenes. But if it does get taken down, I'm going to share the link below here. We have a website, drcharlieward.co.uk, and you can subscribe on there to our updates and our newsletters, etc., that are being produced by Lee Hemington. But you'll be able to keep in touch with what's going on. So at the moment, everything is nice and smooth. But if for any reason we get taken down, you simply go to my website, drcharlieward.co.uk, and register there, and you'll get all the information as to where we are or where you can view our videos. Yeah, no, it's amazing, really. Whereabouts are you in the north? It sounds northeast.
Newcastle, by Durham now, born Gateshead.
Okay, well, I'm an Ipswich boy, so we have a very close affinity with the northeast with Bobby Robson.
Yes, oh, of course, yes, Sir Bobby.
Sir Bobby, I used to come up every year to his charity golf do. And then I used to come up to Ant and Dex, which carried on that sort of mould.
Yeah, yeah.
Up Slaley Hall.
Yes.
And then, of course, Ant had his issues and Deck got married and all kinds of things. Everything happened, so that sort of fizzled out a bit. So, in fact, I can show you over. I don't know if you can see it there.
Yeah, yes, yes.
That shirt, Newcastle United, yeah. Northern Rock, yeah. Bobby Robson, all went down in the same year.
What a surprise, eh?
Yeah, so yeah, Newcastle United, Northern Rock, and Bobby Robson. It's signed by Anson Deck and all the crowd that were there. And that's it.
Oh, was that for the charity match?
That was the charity one, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was one of those. I was up there with the lads, and Chris Waddle's a very good friend of mine. Been a friend of mine for years.
I used to live around the corner from Chris when I was a kid.
Yeah, he's one of the most lovely gentlemen you'll ever meet. And John Beresford and I would decide to sneak outside and have a little chat and catch up for the old days and have a laugh. Then suddenly the organiser, Charlie, come, because the auction was going on. I had no idea what I was going to bid for, but I just stuck my hand up because that's why they invited me, because I'd buy things and give to charity. And I landed up with the shirt, so I had no idea what I was buying, but I just went, yeah, I'll have it, whatever, how much? Then I think it was 200 or 300 quid or something, but it went to a good cause, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So, how's the whirlwind life of Charlie Ward?
It's an amazing journey. Could never have predicted it, because one thing I love about the Northeast, they're just normal folk, and I'm a Suffolk boy, Ipswich boy, I'm just a normal lad.
Yeah.
Who's had, you could say, a tough life. I was a farmer's boy. I grew up, having to work hard myself, just a grafter. Parents always claimed they were skint, so we had to deliver newspapers, did 3 paper rounds as a kid, then used to collect the newspapers on a Friday to take them back to pulp to make more money, and then had chicken to sell the eggs. Anything to make money, just a survivor, really.
I think that's the most of the Northeast.
That's exactly what it is, and that's why I've always connected with the Northeastern lads. And I was also very, very good friends with Sophie Graydon, who took her own life sadly. I knew her and her parents very, very well, a number of years. The Northeast has always been a place that I've loved, because they're just proper folk, And
right, I've heard a lot of people say that the Geordies so friendly and welcoming, but if you're out on the town with the Geordies,
yeah,
that's Geordie yourself. It doesn't seem like that because we sound aggressive, but we're not. It's just who we are. It's just the way we speak.
I've never ever noticed any sense of aggression. We used to leave Slaley Hall after the charity events and go down. I can't remember the name of the nightclub now, and usual name in Newcastle, where everyone went. And,
Tiger.
Tiger. We went there. Oh dear, we had some fun nights, and then we'd head back there. And then there was a couple of times we were there where somebody was due to come over to stay with us in Spain. We went off to the airport at 5 in the morning after we hadn't gone to bed. We just went straight to the airport to get home. And somebody was coming over with us, and they drove the wrong way, and suddenly they were something like 70 miles away from the airport, and it was like, okay, don't worry. Next time, we're just taking the wrong road, but
yeah.
No, lovely, but yeah, the world is an amazing place. I started off this journey. Look, 6 years ago, I was told they were going to collapse the world's economy, and I was like, well, just as a normal lad, you go, well, the world's economy is a mess right now anyway, so it wouldn't do any harm. But it wasn't that serious. And then 2 years ago, they were like, Charlie, we're getting very close now to collapsing the world's economy. And I was like, okay. And then back in December last year, we're going to do it next year, Charlie. We're going to collapse the world's economy. And this is somebody that's very high ranking in the US government that I work closely with. But he's a mate. I don't look at him as anything else than a mate. So it wasn't like I'd been pulled into a meeting. It was just like we were just chatting, you know, over the bar, having a drink, and that's how it came out. You tend to find after a few drinks, stuff comes out. So when they collapsed the world's economy, or started to in March, I sent him a message immediately saying, "Is this how you're going to do it with a virus?" And he just sent me a wink back. So I was like, "Wow, that's interesting." And it was very much like being given the four corners of a puzzle, and somebody said, "Work it out for yourself." And I've had to go back to him every other day to talk to him, just to sort of understand what the hell is going on, because there's lots of smoke screens, there's lots of red flags, there's lots of distractions, there's lots of things that are happening. And I pointed out one of the things this morning that people just don't know is that the Bank of England has been closed now for 10 days or so. But if you go onto their front page, there's no mention of it at all. You have to go on to contact and have a look at their map to see where they are. And above the map, it says, we're closed due to COVID-19. So it's all hidden away. It's the same with the WHO, the same with the CDC. It's all on their websites, but it's just hidden away. And that tells you something.
Me and my friend have many heated discussions about this, because he's not awake yet. I've been trying for 3 years to wake him up. He's a good lad, don't get us wrong. He won't see past the small picture. But last week, I showed him the link for the government website where it'd been downgraded from March to nothing more than a cold.
Yeah.
And his face was a picture.
Yeah.
So I think I'm getting there with him, but it's took a few years to get there, just to that point. But he can't understand, if it's been downgraded, why all of this. I says, that's what you need to look for. That's what you need to work out. I says, I can tell you as much as I know, but it's whether you believe me or look for yourself.
Well, Mick, you've done the smartest thing ever, and you started from point of reference to point of fact.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've had people go, well, it doesn't say it on the WHO website. Well, the minute you show them the government, it's like the government don't count anymore. But they did when it was all in their favour, it counted. Now it doesn't.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So you very often have to reconfirm it through the WHO, and that takes hours, because the link on the WHO website is not a link; it's just a blue word in a sentence that you click on the word, it takes you through.
Yeah. Oh, they're hidden very well. They're hidden very well.
And it's the same on the CDC. They've done exactly the same.
Yeah.
The Spanish government are a little bit more typical Spanish. They've just removed it. And they've removed all the figures for the last 3 years of deaths. They've just gone. And when you ask them where they've gone, ¿Qué pasa? Don't know. You know, they haven't got a clue where it's gone. But they're far more honest about it. It just disappeared, don't know.
Yeah.
And when the CDC downgraded the total number of deaths to under 10,000 worldwide, exactly, you couldn't make it up. So those factual points are the only things we've got right now that can actually stimulate debate, because You can't
Yeah.
force your opinion because it's just your opinion. You just have to point out bits of facts. And they go, so why did that happen? And go, well, if you've been listening to me, maybe you'd understand that this was done for this.
Well, I've seen your video.
Yeah.
I seen your video yesterday morning, your little rant, and
Yeah.
that was spot on. For a couple of months now, I've been saying to people, because I don't trust Boris, I never have done from day one. I think there's a Q drop where it says UK PM install, and people have automatically thought Boris. And I've thought from the start, that's nothing. I don't think that's Boris. I think that's what the people put in. And then all of a sudden now NESARA GESARA's came about. That fits into the way I'm thinking. Like, the people are going to install the next Prime Minister. It isn't going to be Boris. He's not going to be the saviour. God help if he was to be the saviour.
You're spot on, right? But, and it won't be a Conservative, it won't be a Labour, and it won't be a Lib Dem. It won't be from any party. It'll be somebody who's going to represent the people. The party politics will disappear completely.
And that's what it needs to be. Like I say, I didn't vote Conservative with Boris. No. He's of that ilk where I would never trust him as far as I could throw him. I know a lot of people like him, they're entitled to like him, they're entitled to like what they want. But me personally, I've always thought he's not supposed to be there, or he won't be there very long.
No.
And his actions during this, that's one thing. With all the reset, not the Great Reset, obviously the monetary reset that we're potentially going into, who is going to be? Oh, you know what it is? It's just went off the top of my head, Charlie. I'll get back to it. I might.
We've got a revaluation, and we've got the global. The revaluation is where all the currencies are revalued, and we've got the quantum financial system, which is the new financial system, which I've got the gold queue here for now because it's backed.
Yes, I noticed that this morning.
It's a mark because today is the first day without the SWIFT system, but the new quantum financial system, which is a system backed by gold.
Yeah.
The one thing with Trump is going to make it transition very smoothly. I wanted it to come in with all bells and whistles. That's not how he's doing it. He's doing it in a very, very discreet way.
Yeah, it's probably the sensible option, isn't it?
Probably. Yeah.
Moving on to a few questions regarding NESARA GESARA. They're not going to be your regular. What do I do with the money when I get it? They're a bit off topic with that. Good. Because I've had a lot of questions written down, and over the past couple of days of watching your videos, everyone else has asked the same questions I was going to ask. So I've had to rehash things a bit.
No problem.
I've mentioned the UK PM install.
Yeah.
Right. Missed that one. Right. With NESARA GESARA, I'll just say GESARA because we're in the UK and Europe, so we'll just stick with that one. I've had a lot of people looking at it from a business point of view. How are businesses going to be affected when the currency changes? With the likes of business loans from banks, debts from companies to companies, and just things like that. I'm having a few questions with regards to that side of things.
Well, if you consider that when we transit across the new system, number one, there will be no such thing as a loan.
Yeah.
So if a business has business loans, those loans from the bank will be forgiven.
Yeah.
Because of the simple fact that the money that they've borrowed is not real.
Yeah.
It's fake. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that's just a very simple fact. So a number of people that I know have run their credit cards up to the hilt, and God bless them, it's their choice. I've never been a person that likes debt. It doesn't appeal to me. I've always paid for everything I have. I haven't had a mortgage since I was 23, and I've worked damn hard to make sure I don't. Loans in general, well, from a business point of view, number one, so you won't have the debt. So running a business will be an awful lot easier. Also, the only tax that'll be applicable will be a purchase tax, not a sales tax, purchase tax on everything that's brand new and non-essential. And they haven't told me what it will be. They said it'll be somewhere between 13 and 17%. And they hadn't worked it out at the last time I'd spoken to them. I'm sure they had, but they haven't told me. So if you look at a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, have to spend ridiculous amounts of time and money doing tax returns. They won't exist.
Yeah.
Because there is no such thing as a tax return anymore. Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, Her Majesty no longer exists. Revenue and Customs no longer exists. So there is no declaration of anything to anybody. So when there will be authority in place to manage the taxation coming in from the purchase tax on new goods, non-essential. Because, and the math has been done to a very good level. That's why they said not more than 17% on non-essential items. There's enough income coming in from that to absolutely fund the entire UK running system, which shows you over the past 100 years how corrupt the system has been. That we've had to pay taxes. It's very, very clear that energy will be provided free of charge. Free energy. So people, old people keeping warm. All that stuff disappears. There are so many things that disappear, and people don't realise about the actual wastage. We've been privy to the information because of the fight with Brexit as to how much the EU wants from us. All these billions of dollars, pounds they want from us. And then you realise that this really pisses me off, and it probably will you as a northeastern lad, is that there's 10,000 people on salaries of over $250,000 a year in Brussels.
Yeah, and they do fuck all.
They do fuck all, and it's not even just that. The two that make the laws for England, we don't even like them because we voted them out. The Kinnock.
Yeah.
And they're Welsh, the other side of the country. That's a naughty comment, but they're people that we voted out of our government. We didn't want them because they were useless. So suddenly they get a job where they can't be voted out, and they make the rules for us. That's just not right.
Can't be voted out, and they can't be held accountable either, can they?
Completely unaccountable, and this is where the evil has crept into our systems to allow this sort of thing to go on. The amount of money that's wasted in Brussels is obscene. And not only are they on $250,000 salaries, they've got expense accounts of over 750,000 each. So a million per person for 10,000 people. That's a lot of money. A complete wastage, not needed. And then they're not happy with just having the place in Brussels. They've got another one in Strasbourg.
Yeah.
Really? What's that one for? And it's just like a boys' club with so much money, they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Hasn't Brussels got its own shopping centre inside?
Yes,
high-class stores.
Yeah.
It's all wrong.
It's completely wrong. And if you look at the northeast as an example, and I look at Suffolk, where I come from, as an example, Suffolk needs one person to, not a member of parliament. We don't need a parliament. We need a representative for Suffolk, a representative for the northeast. I'm sure the Geordies and the Mackhams would want one each.
I think we'll have to.
But those sort of things you can laugh about and have a joke, because I've always said I'm anti-racism, but you also need to have the banter. The banter between Newcastle and Sunderland is brilliant. Between Ipswich and Norwich is brilliant.
Yeah.
Between Liverpool and Everton, between Man United and Man City and Liverpool is brilliant. You need that. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than going down to Wales for the rugby, even though I took the mick out of them earlier, and watching either Ireland and Wales, England and Wales, or the Welsh are just such warm people.
Yeah.
The rugby atmosphere, after the game, everyone's having a drink together, and that's exactly how it should be. Exactly.
There's no better than a Sunderland Newcastle match. It's one of the fixtures I used to look forward to when the fixture list came out. It was one of the first ones I looked for.
I had the privilege of coming up to Newcastle and being invited in one of the directors' boxes to watch Newcastle against Liverpool when Liverpool beat them 6-0, I think it was. and the Newcastle fans weren't happy, but their team put up a good performance. They weren't happy with the players that didn't perform. They were happy with the ones that did. They just wanted you to put on the best, do the best you can, even if you get beaten by a better team. And I love that spirit. That you gave the best, but if you don't give your best, it's very much a pride thing with the North East, and I love that. You go out and give your best. If we get beat, it doesn't matter. But if you go out and get beat because you haven't given your best, then we're going to jump all over you. Exactly.
But that's the way it should be. They get paid enough money. Try your best. If you don't try your best, then find another club.
Exactly. And it's been tickling me pink about, because obviously I've done an awful lot of research into this. So I know that COVID-19 coronavirus is nothing more than the common cold.
Yep.
So if you think about a footballer, he tests positive for a common cold. He's on 50 grand a week and he can't go to work. Let that sink in.
Yeah.
I've got a cold, so I can't go to work, and I'm getting paid 50 grand a week.
As a minimum, that's a very low wage.
If you wake up to that fact, when you establish that it's a common cold and nothing more, then suddenly, hang on, you're not going to go and you can't go and watch Newcastle play because of a common cold. When you think about that, you go, why? I used to go with a cold every week.
And if I was getting 50 grand a week, I'd turn up middle of the night and just run around the pitch.
Most Geordies would carry a hip flask if they had a cold. They'd still be watching Newcastle or Sunderland or any of the teams at Middlesbrough, whoever they are. It gets bloody cold up there. And I tell you what, they wouldn't.
We like to wear t-shirts in the winter.
Sorry?
We like to wear t-shirts in winter.
I know. I've seen the girls at Tiger coming out in mini skirts in the middle of winter. It's just like, yeah, incredible. But yeah, you think back to 2 years ago, and if you had a cold or you had the flu, and Newcastle were playing at home, you just take a hot toddy and you take a hip flask or something to get you through the game. You wouldn't have missed it.
No.
This year you're locked up with a mask on. You're like, really?
Yeah, I've never wore a mask yet.
No, not me.
Never.
No, and there's no point wearing one because all the banks have run out of money, so you can't even rob them.
Going back to the Bank of England being closed, how can they be closed because of coronavirus, but every high street branch is open?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? People can't wrap their head around what's going on. But you've just got to look at the basics. And
our only way is with Geordie humour is to just humour them out of their sleep.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Make laugh them awake.
That's what we're good at, Geordies. That's what we like to do.
Exactly right. You got the talent up there.
Right. Back on to GESARA again. Humanitarian projects.
Oh, that's my love. That's my absolute love. I mentioned to you earlier, I used to come up to the Bobby Robson charity tour, and I've been up to Ant and Deck's charity tour at Slaley Hall. And the humanitarian, the one thing that still makes me smile to this day is that Ant and Deck's charity tour, there was a nun there. And I just thought, because of Ant and Deck being cheeky chappies, it was fancy dress. So I got her on the dance floor and started dancing with her. And she said, no, I'm a real nun. And they do a lot for local charity. And this is really important. And every time I go there, she still says, Charlie, I'm still a nun. And we have a laugh about it. But humanitarian stuff starts at home. And I love that with Ant and Deck, and I loved it with Sir Bobby Robson. It starts at home. We've got people on our streets. You have them in Newcastle. We have them in Malaga. That's where charity starts. It's all very well giving to Africa and giving to all these countries. It starts at home. And Jordan Peterson, the psychologist, says, you can't put the world right if your bedroom's in a mess. You tidy your own bedroom up first. If your bedroom's tidy, then you can sort out other problems. And it's very much the same as that right now. It starts in Newcastle, in Gateshead, in Sunderland, in Middlesbrough. It starts at home. Humanitarian, looking after our own, and then helping other people look after their own, and then expanding. You know, going the other side of the world when you've got a mess on your own doorstep is not wise. You know, you have to start. And it's all too easy to go out there and, you know, I'm doing a lot of work in Africa. Yeah, what about your people in Gateshead? There's people
Yeah.
that need your help.
Well, it's just like the government and foreign aid, giving all our money to other countries. Yes, they need help, but there's a lot more needs help on their own doorstep.
There's also another issue that we've completely overlooked that I've started to uncover. Is the middle class white countries in the world, when you get old, we stick people in an old people's home. We need to start taking them out and bringing them home and looking after them like they looked after us when we were younger. Our moral compass is so out of sync. And when you think of how many beautiful minds there are of the 70s, 80s, and 90s in the Northeast who've experienced, I mean, tough times, more tough than we've ever had.
Yeah.
They're worried about a common cold. They could actually wake us up and say, oh, reset our moral compasses. I've met some beautiful, Geordie, older ladies who are so wise.
Salt of the earth, aren't they?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Salt of the earth.
You know, they've been through the difficult times because, as you said, working class. That means you had to work with your physical hands more often than not than your mind. A lot of hard-working people there. And these people have had some tough times up in the Northeast. And they have to work when it's bloody cold. Let's get real about it. Forget about getting a cold. I'll tell you what, based on now having to wear a mask, going back over the years in the Northeast, God, I don't know how they've managed to convince so many people.
Well, shipbuilding didn't stop because of winter.
Yeah. And you and I both know what it's like when you touch metal when it's freezing cold and handle metal when it's freezing cold. It gets super cold. You know, I'm a farmer's boy, so when you're touching the ploughing equipment, etc., through the winter, it's freezing cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was only in Suffolk, and you're up in the Northeast, which is even colder. So yeah, we can learn so much from these people. Learn so much. We need to get them out of these old people's homes, and this is humanitarian. Get them out of the old people's homes. Get them into our own homes. Look after them. Get them fed. Keep them warm. Don't bang them into an old people's home. The reason is, oh, we need to earn money, and we need to do. These days are over now. That we're going to have money. We're going to have access to more than enough. And so humanitarian. There's no point helping people in Africa if your grandma's in an old people's home. You need to look after them.
Exactly. And that leads me on to my next question, actually. Who's going to be responsible for the critical illness time bomb that's going to come soon because of what's happening with cancelled hospital appointments, and the mental health time bomb? Like, as a mental health sufferer myself, I can see this is going to be massive, and it's going to be massive pretty soon as well.
It is. Well, this is what the second lockdown was all about. It had nothing to do with COVID-19. There's 4 parts of it. The first part of it is people that failed to have operations from March, April, May, June, and July that needed operations. They're going to die. It's a fact of life. They've missed the operations. They've missed the window. There's a lot of people going to die. Sadly, they're going to go down as COVID-19 victims. That's very bad. And it's basically genocide. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Second of all, you're going to have old people who've been forced to wear a mask during the summer, and their immune system has been brought down to such a level that when germs come along in the winter, they've got no immune system.
Yeah.
So they will die. They'll go down sadly as COVID-19 victims. Very, very sad. Another case of genocide. And then you get into the people who have lost their house, have lost their business, have lost their car. They might have even lost the family. They might have had a family breakdown. They'll either have heart attacks or commit suicide based on the fact they've been lied to, and they've lost everything through a lie. So the two parts, the third and the fourth, is suicides and heart attacks due to what's happened. So there will be a spike of deaths. There will be a lot of people die, and every single one of them will go down as a COVID-19 victim. The question I'm going to ask you is do you honestly think that they are COVID-19 victims? In theory, they are, but in practice, they're not.
No, they're not. They're not. I went camping a few weeks ago, and there was a guy there. I never initiated a conversation on COVID, or that I'm a truth seeker. I'll not say conspiracy theorist because I wear that badge with pride, but I'm a truth seeker.
Sure.
And I just say to him, what do you think of this? He says, I think it's all bullshit. He says, 5 weeks ago, my friend was diagnosed with COVID. A couple of weeks later, 3 weeks later, he was given the all clear because he had basically just had a bit flu and there was nothing wrong with him. 2 weeks after that, died in a motorcycle accident. And guess what he died of?
COVID-19.
COVID-19.
Yeah. And these are the numbers they've now had to take off those figures because there was an investigation.
Yeah.
That's why it's dropped from whatever it was down to 9,000 worldwide. I was looking at the figures earlier, which I find absolutely distressing. Over 200,000 children go missing every single year in the United Kingdom. I think it was 200,000. Let me just double check that. I looked at the figures earlier because somebody sent me the figures. I need to get them accurately because it's quite important. I had the death figure sent to me as to how many each year. Where's it gone? That's strange. Code words. So the trouble is I get so many documents come through. Somebody sent me I can't see where it is. They sent me the figures through. I know where it is. I sent it to my wife. So I can look it onto. Here we go. How many children go missing every year? 20,000 in Spain, 25,000 in Australia, 39,000 in France, 40,000 in Brazil, 45,000 in Mexico, 50,000 in Canada, 100,000 in Germany, 230,000 children per year go missing in the United Kingdom, and 800,000 in America. So if I take the figure of 230,000 as an example, let's just do the calculation on this because this is important. So 230,000 children go missing every year in the UK. Divide by 365, 630 children every single day go missing in the United Kingdom. And we get told about Madeleine McCann. One.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We're still going on about it, but there's over 650 children go missing every day, and we're ignoring it. The question is why?
We know why.
Exactly right. Exactly right, and it's so corrupt. It's time people woke up to the truth. The missing children number to me was just unbelievable. 22,000 children every single day worldwide go missing. And then I've been working with the team that are rescuing children right now in America, and they're not surviving. They come up into the light and they're dying of the light. So they're trying to treat them down below the surface to see if they can recover them. But I mean, we're not talking about a handful. We're talking about tens of thousands of children that have been gone missing. When you look at 230,000 a year in the UK, I don't see that on the mainstream media. Ever. And yet 9,000 people die worldwide in 6 months of COVID-19, 9,000. And it shuts down the world's economy. And yet 230,000 children go missing. So in 6 months, that's 115,000. 115,000 children going missing, I would have thought was more important to shut down the world than 9,000 people with a common cold. But
puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
Doesn't it just?
Yeah.
And these are hard facts. And if you start from a point of fact, and then what you do is create people going, that doesn't make any sense. When it doesn't make any sense, they'll start to question, like you and I did, start to question that if it looks like shit and smells like shit, it's probably shit.
Yes, exactly.
And what's amazing, Mick, is the fact that the people that you and I all our lives looked up to as to being hyper intelligent don't have any common sense.
Yeah.
And the people that you and I look down on in life as being a little, and the one that springs to mind, I spoke to one of them this morning, a girl that used to work in a pole dancing club. absolutely wide awake, knows everything that's going on. You look and go, well, that's a bit of a shock to find that somebody that you look at as a beautiful lady on a pole, who you're just looking at the beauty of her body, don't realize that inside there is a brain that's full of useful information.
Yeah, yeah. People need to learn to start out using the brain again.
Sure.
Like I say, I've been awake quite a few years, but I'd say the past 2 or 3 years I've been really awake. And I've been down some rabbit holes, and I'm like, what the fuck?
I know. I've gone down and come straight back out again on quite a few rabbit holes. It's just like the adrenochrome was the first one, the first deep one I went into that just blew me away.
Yeah.
And then there was a bit of time on that rabbit hole when because I researched so deeply into aspects to find out that the laboratory that's actually processing all of this just happens to be Wuhan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you go, really? You couldn't make it up. You couldn't make it up. It all just keeps coming back, you know, everything keeps coming back together.
If you look at Google Chrome, you've got Chrome,
yes,
and then you've got the
adrenaline, the operation.
Then you've got the Adreno. It's like the search engine microchip or something like that. But put it together, you've got adrenochrome.
Exactly.
It's right in front of our eyes, and we didn't know about it.
Didn't even know about it. I said that to my wife, and she's gone, well, why would they do that? I've gone, they're just sick people.
Yeah.
They're sick people. It's like when you start investigating the paedophilia symbology in Disney.
Yeah, yeah.
Another thing that just blows your mind, and you go, really? Once you start understanding symbology and you look at it and go, why would they do that? They're just sick puppies, you know, they're just incredibly sick people.
Oh, very sick, very sick. But that's what the general public can't get their head around. No, they're not like that. They can't be like that.
I know.
They're on the telly. That's what they'll come out with. That's the mentality of most people, unfortunately. I was saying something a couple of months ago again about Boris Johnson, and I says, what if the government is being blatantly this bad? They want it to rise up. I says, but we won't rise up because we're English, and the place is full of pussies now.
It is. You're right. I've often had the view that when Margaret Thatcher came into power, yes, she did some good things, but she made the woman stronger. That's fine. But if you're going to make the woman stronger, you've got to make the man stronger. So my thought process was back into national service, boys.
Oh, I've said that for a long time. Bring that back.
Yeah.
I think it needs to come back.
I think it's a good thing because it teaches respect.
Yeah, exactly.
Although we won't be needing it in GESARA from the point of view of no wars, but it's good for discipline. Of
course it is, yes.
So, yeah, we're living in a fascinating time now. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm loving
it. I'm just getting bored with being stuck at home now. I've got a little business going, starting that off. So it's something to keep my mind occupied. I lost my job due to COVID. Well, actually, I didn't. I resigned a week before COVID. I wish I'd have stuck it out for a week. I would have been on furlough for all this time.
Yeah.
But hindsight's a wonderful thing. I would never.
Isn't it just?
It certainly is. It certainly is. What do you think should happen with all of the disabled veterans in this country? Should they be given homes?
1,000,000%. You know, why would these people who've gone out and defended our country? Forget about the royal family. Forget about everything else.
Oh yeah,
They've gone out to defend our rights, our civil rights, our human rights. They've gone out to defend us. And I've never understood why here, America, anywhere, we haven't paid them the utmost respect. And that's not talking about giving them medals. That's lovely. They need to have comfortable housing. Yeah. That's another reason for humanitarian help. You know, South Africa right now, we've got many ex-military. They don't just need homes. They need re-educating in trades that they can use in the life that we're living now. Because a lot of the trades that they were trained for are no longer necessary, We're moving into a digital world, and a lot of these guys are very, very clever, and they're also from a military background. I employed loads of them after the Falklands War. They were great people to employ, because everything was by the regimented completely. So they're great people. So they need housing, they need looking after. They also need medical attention, because they've been through trauma.
Yeah.
And you don't actually see trauma in them in the everyday life. Like, we used to go to take the lads out for a drink at night, and they were absolutely fine until they'd had a few drinks in them. And there was a couple of them that get flashbacks of their friends being killed in trenches in the Falkland Islands, and they changed from a normal human being into a complete psychopath. Those need help. They need a lot of help. And this is what humanitarian stuff is about. It's not about overseas. It's about starting at home, starting with our neighbours, starting with our grandparents and great grandparents and uncles and aunties, and providing them a place of safety, a place of love. Because I've been into an old people's home recently where my wife used to look after an old lady, and it's nothing more than God's waiting room. It's just
that's all they are. That's all they are.
It is, and it's just horrible. It smells of death, you know. And we need to wake up to this. This doesn't happen in the Philippines. It doesn't happen in Vietnam. It doesn't happen in Cambodia. It doesn't happen in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. But it happens in the middle class white countries: Canada, Australia, New Zealand, England, South Africa, even. We need to wake up to look after our own people.
Oh, definitely, without a doubt. So how long do you think before the military's on our streets?
I think we're getting very close to it.
Yeah.
You have to remember that, I've said this 2 or 3 times now, but it's lovely. Donald Trump has made it MAGA, Make America Great Again. And his comment the other day, and then MEGA, which is Make Europe Great Again. So that will be second in line. Everything will happen in America first. It might happen in parallel because the mainstream media are not covering this, but there's still 4 million people on the streets in Berlin waiting for Merkel to stand down.
Yeah.
If he stands down, the domino effect will kick in very quickly, and Trump has got his eye on that.
Yeah.
So, and we're starting to see it in Spain, whereby the police have just woken up to the fact that their pension fund has disappeared.
Yeah, I've seen you saying.
That will happen in England. The police will wake up in England and go, shit, where's ours? So they'll step down from there will still be policemen, they'll still be in the police stations, but they won't be out there. So we'll need the military. So we'll welcome the military onto our streets.
Yeah.
So it will come in very smoothly. And then he'll call martial law, which will then allow him to do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
So look, you've heard me say it before and I'll say it again. I've been told to trust the plan, and I do. I trust it implicitly.
A lot of people are getting confused with GESARA and the Great Reset.
Yeah.
We just need to keep them away from that, or at least show them parts of it and say, this is the difference and these are the differences that you need to actually read, because it's fucking naughty what they're trying to do.
Yeah, look, we've set up a web page called, I think it's GESARA Club, or the GESARAclub.com. It's either GESARA Club or the GESARA Club, where we're going to put all the information on there. So for those that want to read about the technicalities, but make no bones about it, it was first written in the late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah. By the farmers. Was it by the farmers?
That's right.
In America? Yeah.
So it's been adapted many, many times. And whether they'll even call it GESARA or NESARA, nobody knows yet. Trump, if he had his way, would call it Trump's plan.
Yeah. Trumpsara.
Trumpsara, exactly. He's been very humorous about stuff like that. He's been an absolute legend. But we're living in an amazing time, Mick, and it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It's lovely to talk to somebody that actually gets it, you know. And my journey has been blessed with that, talking to people who understand it, understand what's going on. Our duty is to try and make people aware of what's happening, and you're going the right way. Starting with humour and starting from a base point. It was downgraded to nothing more than a fluke. And once you can get them to accept that, then they can start doing their own research. And then it's a bit like a born-again Christian. Then they'll start shouting from the rooftops about it all.
Yeah, it's human nature to do so, isn't it? If you think you've just discovered something.
Yeah, there'll be a bit of anger there to start with, which we have to manage, because they get really angry that they've been misled. And they'll get angry with themselves that they've worn a mask and not been able to go and watch Newcastle play and all this sort of stuff. And they'll be super, super angry, and we just got to manage them for that. But,
yeah. I've got a couple of questions for off air, if that's okay with you,
yep.
Charlie.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that. I'm going to put a stop to it. But thank you, Mick. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you as well, mate. Absolute honour to be on your show.
You too.
Hi, it's Justin, and I hope you're enjoying my dad's videos. Make sure to share this video with family and friends, like and subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you get notified for all my dad's new videos. My social media will be tagged down below so you can follow it. And just remember, Jesus loves you.